Hey everybody, I hope that you are well. Julie Holly here. And today I'm going to talk about something that might be a little triggering for some of you. It might be triggering because maybe you are a deeply religious person, or maybe you're a person recovering from religion, as it were, for lack of a better phrasing, I should say. So last week, I posted a video that I thought was a simple message to women. Very important that I say that this was a message from a woman to women. And it was about loving yourself, like falling madly in love with yourself, using love as a shield to protect you from what can be harshness out in the world. And it was well received by other women. And then I received a message and direct message in my inbox. And it started off with, I know I'm not a woman, but I want, basically, in a nutshell, I should say, it read like, you and the people that you influence, which first, thank you for thinking I'm such a huge influencer, should really humble yourselves and find Jesus. So for me, this was troubling on quite a few levels. Firstly, it was a message, like I already said, from a woman to other women. So there was really wasn't a space for men to enter their opinion or to insert themselves into what I was saying. And, I'm a proud 51-year-old woman, which means that I have dealt for more than half of a century now with men inserting themselves in spaces where they don't really belong and where their opinion wasn't asked for, nor does it matter. The other issue was, as a Black person, I was triggered because this person is white, and it triggered an ancestral sort of rage, if you will, whereas this colonization of spirituality, this you must do things our way and your way is wrong or your way is evil, even though in my message last week had nothing to do with religion or with spirituality, which leads to my third point. You don't know what my faith system is or isn't from that post. So again, this assumption that a woman can't be both madly in love with herself and a follower of Jesus's teachings, I also found that to be very troubling. And this is what I like to call religious gaslighting, because then this person goes on to say, oh, whoever said those things to you, which again, that isn't what I said. I was talking about how the world can treat women in general. It wasn't about personal experiences, even though I have experienced some of those things, but not all of those things that I mentioned. And so like this condescending attitude, the audacity to tell someone else that you don't know well, that you haven't spoken to in years. This is someone I used to do business with like over a decade ago, or more. So to make these assumptions about my life and about how women should speak and move through the world is sickening. And you'll see that a lot, especially as you rise up in your womanhood and your own sense of love, your own strength, your own power. And that's the other part of this message. Under no circumstances do you surrender your power to anyone. It's not worth it. It isn't worth it to fit in. It isn't worth it to say that you have a man in your life or a partner in your life. It isn't even worth it to keep a job. You never surrender the power that you have within yourself. You never stop loving yourself. You never stop lifting your sisters up. You never stop speaking love and hope and wisdom to the generation of women to come. So for those of you that do have men in your life, whether there's brothers, sons, nephews, I have a brand new nephew myself, and I have a nephew that's in his 20s. The message for them is when women hold sacred space for themselves and for other women, respect that sacred space. You don't cross that line into that sacred space. Men are also allowed to have sacred spaces that belong to just them. So if a guy posted, hey, fellas, my fellow men, I want you to fall madly in love with yourself, and I want you to teach the generations after you to also fall madly in love with themselves. There's no way I'm going to go into that man's DMs and tell him how he should behave, who and how he should worship, whatever God he chooses or not, because the conversation was closed and it was brother to brother. My conversation was closed. My conversation was sister to sister, pure and simple. So again, in this mindset of standing in your power, hold your boundaries. I chose to hold my boundary by not replying directly to this person's DM because I wanted to make a public post and a public declaration just in case there's anybody else who sees any of my messages that are not intended for them and they feel moved. They have the audacity to send me a direct message that is so out of line and out of order. The boundary has been set. Please do not cross it. All right. And so that I can end on a positive, non-threatening sort of note, we now have 2 messages from me directly to my sisters out there. 1, never forget, fall madly in love with yourself over and over and over again. 2, stand in your power. Don't relinquish it, because that's why this man felt compelled to send me this direct message. It was because he is fearful of what will happen when all of the women, all of my sisters, all of my mothers, all of my girls, all of my Devies, when we wake up and we stand in love for ourselves and in love for each other, and now we're holding that as our power, we are an unstoppable force. So keep shaking it up and live a magical life, and I will see you soon. Thank you.